Dad, as a father, what do you think is the most challenging thing when you have a child come into the business? What are the watch outs? What were the challenges? What's challenging? What's hard?
As a father, as a business owner, it's not easy to work with a family member, especially your son or your nephew or whatever. But one thing I can tell you from my personal experience, working alongside with Gary, we had disagreements, okay? It's normal, but not a single time I left my office without going to Gary's office or vice versa and tell him I love you. I always put my love and as a father first and business second. True.
Attention is the #1 asset. What's up, everybody? I'm sure you're hearing all this background noise. I'm at Cannes. You're about to listen to the opening keynote from last year's VeeCon. Make sure you go to VeeCon.co to pick up your tickets. We're in LA this year, August 9th to the 11th. Pretty excited about it, LA Live. Anyway, we would love to see all of you at VeeCon, VeeCon.co, VeeCon 2024, August 9th to the 11th, Los Angeles, LA Live. Come hang. VeeCon 2023, we ready? Please sit, please sit. Let's get everybody sitting. All right. First, I just want to thank everybody for being here. I'm so excited about 2023. How did we feel about last night? I know a lot of people were out very late last night, so I'm incredibly impressed with the attendance this morning. Look, I'm excited to be here. A couple things that I really want to talk about. As I see, a lot of people are coming and getting over here. Just want to establish a couple of thoughts that I think will really matter, and then we'll get into the talk. Obviously, I have a single keynote to close out the conference, but I'm really excited. As you might have noticed, there's 2 other chairs up here, so I'm excited what we're about to do here in a little bit. But first of all, I just want to thank everybody. I want everyone honestly to acknowledge what I'm about to say. I want everyone here to collectively clap it up for each other in a second, because what I saw yesterday in day 1 outside, as a matter of fact, by show of clapping, how many people is it your first VeeCon? Clap it up. So for those people, so many of you have DM'd me, emailed me, I've seen your tweets, I've seen your answers in Discord. What you were sending me last night and this morning is absolutely true, which is this community is impossible to fully understand until you actually physically feel it. No matter what you feel on Twitter, no matter what you feel on Discord, no matter what you feel out there, it's just impossible until we actually get together. The amount of sponsors and people that were volunteers or people from the city of Indy that made comments to me in the last 24 hours about the collective humanity, the collective kindness, the connective soul. Watching all of you interact with each other, yesterday was by far the best part of the conference for me. And so I want everyone to be as loud as humanly possible for each other right now. And I want to keep that going. Louder. I know who this group of people are. I've interacted with so many of you. Actually, let's do it this way. How many people here have been interacting with me or my content? And by the way, lying is the devil. Lying is the devil. It may be a resilient devil, but it's a devil. So do not clap if it is not true, just for fake clout. How many people here have been following the content or this journey for over 10 years? Clap it up. Seven. By the way, 10 could be part of the 7 as well. 5 years. 3. What I know about this community is who you are. I know who I am. I know how I was parented. That's easy. You all know who you are deep down, no matter how much you posture or not. You know who you are. What I'm most excited about is I know who you are. We got here because of the interacting for a decade, for 5, for 4, for 3. And what I know is this is the kindest community out there, and it will forever be that. And I'm humbled by that, and I will work every day of my entire career on this project until the day I die, and I love you all for that. Thank you. All right. I'm really excited about what I decided to do this year. One thing that I've noticed from a lot of you is that you reach out to me around family business dynamics, a very big theme. A lot of you are pondering it. And what I really know is that this audience is grooming a lot of their own business partners who happen to be their children right now as entrepreneurship and side hustles and family business dynamics are growing in society. So knowing so many of you are on this journey right now, and knowing so many of you will be on this journey in the future, I thought there was no better way than to kick off VeeCon than to have Sasha and AJ Vaynerchuk join me up here. So give a huge VeeCon welcome to Sasha and AJ Vaynerchuk. Love you. Sit. All right, boys. Any opening remarks to VeeCon 2023, Dad? Opening remarks. Wait a minute, is that your bad ear? AJ, switch with Dad. He can't hear for shit.
There's hundreds of thousands of dollars of audio visual telling.
Trust me. Any opening remarks, Dad?
Yes.
You got to use your mic.
As a father of Gary and obviously AJ and Liz, that's the second year of VeeCon, and I'm totally blown away, and I'm so proud of what my oldest son Gary has been accomplishing and what he's doing for you as a community and the whole society. And I hope that's going to trigger to our wonderful country, USA, and we need to speak to people, tell them we love them, and that's the most important thing.
AJ, opening observations, any thoughts, anything catch your attention yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, for those of you that I saw yesterday, it was awesome to see everybody. The energy was incredible. Last year at VeeCon, I was only here for like 10 hours at the field day. I didn't even make it to the stadium. So to see like what you and your team did from last year, the lessons learned and how it got applied to this year is just super impressive. Thank you to everybody just for everybody's kindness, great energy. Appreciate everybody that came through the VaynerSports Pass activation yesterday. That was a lot of fun. And just appreciate everybody. So it's going to be fun.
Awesome.
Morning.
All right, let's get into the meat of the content. Dad, as a father, what do you think is the most challenging thing when you have a child come into the business? What are the watch outs? What were the challenges? What's challenging? What's hard?
Well, I don't know if everybody knows, but Gary came to my business many years ago.
I think they might know that story.
Yeah, I don't think everybody knows. Sometimes I'm actually meet some people on the street, and I always, talk about Gary and whatever. And a lot of people don't even know you start in the wine business.
It's true.
So anyway, as a father, as a business owner, it's not easy to work with a family member, especially your son or your nephew or whatever. But one thing I can tell you from my personal experience, okay, as a father, we had, working alongside with Gary, we had disagreements, okay? It's normal, but not a single time I left my office without going to Gary's office or vice versa and kiss him and tell him I love you. I always put my love and as a father first and business second. True.
But would
But
you
what is the
answer the question? No, really, like, what was hard for you?
Well, being a little bit competitive by nature, I think it was in the beginning was a little bit of a competition between myself and my son Gary. Matter of fact, Gary's father-in-law Peter once said to me, why do you have to compete with your son? I said, Peter, it comes to me very natural, and vice versa. Gary is also, you know, compete, and hopefully he's going to compete with Xander one day.
It's true. AJ, what about for you? You came into a different situation. You're on the other side of this equation. You know, when we started VaynerMedia, you know, I was the older statesman. What was most challenging?
I mean, honestly, it's a cop-out, but there was no aspect that was challenging in the day-to-day workings. I think the fact that we were 11 years apart and you were already really successful by the time I got into business made it very clear that you were the 1A, you were the 1 and I was the 2, CEO, COO. So, you know, I think you would attest, we never had any conflict Gary and I have never happened in the office or in business. It's been on the basketball court or playing a board game. So we never...
Our single biggest fight in our entire relationship was during a game of categories.
That's correct. What was it? You tried to say that... I don't remember the exact details.
I do.
What was the exact weapon? No, I know what happened. What was the exact weapon?
Oh, I'm proud of it. I think a hammer.
I think so too, actually.
There's no hammer and clue,
Is there a hammer and clue? No, right? So here's the problem. We were playing categories, and it was, the letter H was rolled, and the context was like a weapon or a murder weapon in the game of Clue, and he writes hammer, and I'm like, well, that's easy. There's no hammer and clue. He's wrong. And then Gary tries to sell the other players that there's a hammer and clue. I'm like, guys, like, this isn't subjective. Like, it's black and white. I've played a lot of Clue in my day. There's no hammer. This is very easy. Gary's like, but no. And people start agreeing with him. I'm like, I lost my lid. Because it's just a black and white fact. So anyway, I'll answer your actual question, though.
Please.
I would say the hardest part about being in business with you, I'm 22, you're 33, we're starting up Vayner, I think not wanting to let you down. I think that was the hardest part. Nothing day to day. Everything was easy with that. You were great. You were my mentor. That was smooth. I think just the pressure of like, Dad and Gary had a business. They were successful. We now have a business. I did not want to go to college. I've been looking forward to this moment of starting a business. And yeah, I think I wanted to succeed.
Thank you. Dad, what should people look for in finding the balance of letting their child run with things versus trying to stop them from making a mistake that can hurt the business?
While I'm sitting and listening to AJ respond to the question Gary asked, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, hopefully I'm going to have a chance to tell the community what really, as a business owner, as a father, you should do for your child. And it's incredible. Gary just asked this basically question. And quite honestly, and I believe, Gary can agree with me, what I let Gary to do things and to watch him to succeed and to watch him some decisions. For example, I'll give you, spent $80,000 on some cockamamie brochure at the Jets Stadium. Didn't mean anything, but I knew he wants to try it, and I knew he wants to do it, and you know what? It didn't work, but
I just wanted to get on the field.
What is that?
I just wanted to get on the Jets, so I just bought the advertising.
That's it. Anyway, you have to allow your child to try things, and if he fails, and he will move on.
What about the fact of if the child fails early on multiple times, when do you cut the cord? Obviously, in our relationship, I started so young. By the time I had say of any kind, even say, I'd already been around for a long time. One thing I get from a lot of people, you started knowing I had it when I was a teenager.
Right.
a lot of people don't have that context. So what's the advice to think through the balance? Because I had to earn piece by piece. You give a little, you give a little more, you give a little more. What if the first two things don't work? What if the kid doesn't have it?
Well, actually, it's a difficult question for me because my kids, Gary, AJ, Liz, they got it. It's I guess it's in the
Well,
blood.
mom is very talented.
Well, of course, mom is a talented woman. Of course, I have to give her all the credit. She's right here, standing. Anyway, but I believe and I was thinking about something else while I was sitting here. In my business, in my industry, wine industry, spirit industry, I know some retail owners who had or have children came to the business, and they took a couple people who comes to my mind, they took a very strong position. They said to the child, my way or it's a highway. And that's not the case was in my situation with Gary. I let him do, and believe me, 9 out of 10, he made the right decisions, okay? Not reverse. So for me, it was a little bit easier
99.
than for other people in my business, because he's still, and he's going to be an extremely talented person, okay? So for me, it was an easy decision. I can't take too much credit. I'll take a little bit, but not too much.
AJ, what do you think is the biggest thing I taught you, and what is the biggest thing that you think you taught me?
I think the biggest thing you taught me is just, and this is for business and life, is just perspective. I think when we first started, and going back to my answer before, I think I put a lot of pressure on myself, and naturally I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I want to be successful, and I don't want to let you down or my family down. And I think you really helped me in the first couple of years just contextualize when things went bad and when things went well. So just not getting too high, not getting too low. I think that really helped me ground myself, and really is helpful just getting through life, whether it's a work-related issue, something with my kids. So that was huge, and I think foundational. I think the biggest thing I taught you, I think you referenced it, I think just more candor in terms of managing staff. I think that when we first started working together, your preference when dealing with maybe somebody that was an underperformer is to just let it drag out and hope that it resolved itself. And I think I was a little bit more direct of like, let's address it before it festers. And yeah, I think that.
I agree. Dad, same question.
I would like to add something else. The reason AJ, and I don't want to speak for AJ, the reason AJ didn't come to my business after he graduated, because he's basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's basically said, what the fuck I'm going to do in this business? It's 2 cooks already in the kitchen. I'm not going to fit in. So that's what real,
100%.
right? Yeah.
100%.
Dad, same question to you. What do you think is the biggest thing you taught me? And what do you think the biggest thing is that I taught you?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good question. When Gary came to the business, and he was doing baseball cards and all this kind of stuff. So when he came to my business, I sat him down and I said, son, listen to me and listen to me good. When you make a promise and you shake somebody else's hand, you better fucking deliver what you promise. Because that's to me, and I believe you use this in your speeches on occasion, right? What I learned from Gary, an extremely important thing, and as a father, it's a little bit, but as I got older, I have to admit, if you compare me today, go back, what is that, 40 years, 45 years back, I'm a very different person, because Gary showed me his love, his respect, and how much he cares about employees, how much he cares about people, how much he loves people. And to me, that's the biggest lesson in one of the biggest lessons in my life, what I learned from my son.
What's a favorite story you like to share that's funny about us being in business together? Just like a funny client thing, or a loss, or a win, or you got something?
This is probably 2010. We're a year into VaynerMedia. We're maybe somewhere between a dozen and 20 employees. And we get an opportunity to meet at a holding company of a consumer packaged goods company to pitch them some social media ideas. And we get kind of like a car wash treatment where we met with 3 different brands. And we had like a 90-minute meeting with one brand, a 90-minute meeting with another, and a 90-minute meeting with another. And so we go through the meetings. This is a year in, and you have to understand, like, at this point, not a single employee has ad agency experience yet. I think we don't hire our first ad agency veteran and of any merit until like year 2. And even that person had been like 4 years of agency experience. It was very raw. And so we go in and we meet with each of the 3 brands, and we're pitching them ideas for social media, and Gary's doing 95% of the talking, and he's on fire. He's spitting out ideas, he's swaying left and right, he's asking them questions, he's giving them ideas back. And we wrap up these 4.5 hours, and we get in the elevator, and it goes great. Each meeting ends with them being like, hey, we're definitely gonna do at least one of these things. Let us regroup. He kind of spit like 8 things at us. But we'll get back to you. We're definitely going to do something. And we did. Each of those brands gave us a project. It was very successful, 4.5 hours. We get in the elevator, and Gary takes a big sigh. He just goes, whew. He goes, that was hard. How do like ad agencies do it? I go, gee, they fucking prepare. We walked into these 3 meetings with 0 materials. Gary told me about the meeting the night before. We had no materials, we had no presentation, we had no market research. I didn't know which brands we were meeting with. I'm like, which brands? He's like, I don't know. He literally wings the entire thing. We land 6-figure projects with each of these 3 brands. I go, gee, they like have meetings and brainstorms and create presentations. And you're like,
That makes sense.
That was ridiculous.
Dad, same for you. What's a funny story you like to, when people say, tell me a story about how you and Gary work together, what's like a funny story or an interesting story or a story that you think about when we were in business together?
Funny story. I can't think about any funny stories.
Or an impressive story or a surprising story or a story. Fuck it, any story you can think of. It could be about anything, just a fucking story.
Kind of caught me out of guard. I didn't plan to tell any stories.
Let me tell a story. Let me tell a story.
The best story about Gary. So Gary born on November 14, 1975, right? So at that time we were back in former Soviet Union. So my wife gave birth to Gary. You're not allowed to go and visit, believe it or not.
Yeah, Russia. So the Soviet Union was so fucked up.
She's on the 3rd floor. She is on the 3rd floor of the hospital, right? And I'm with my best friend Mark, who's here. Mark, where are you? We're standing downstairs, on the street. We're waving, and we turned around and we went to sauna, what in Russia called banya, and we got so drunk I don't even remember how I got back home. That's how I celebrate.
Let's clap it up for that
That's
fucking
how
story.
I celebrate birth of my son Gary. Well, you want a story? I gave you a story.
I like that story. My personal favorite story of my dad's career was my dad's first liquor store was in Clark, New Jersey. And right next to the liquor store was a bank. And one day, my dad's walking over to deposit the day before, and as some of the OGs know here, people used to buy things with cash. And so you actually had cash as a business And so he had to go to the bank and deposit it. And as he's depositing it into the story, there's all this commotion, and there was an armed robbery in the bank.
With Uzis.
Yeah, with Uzis. That's armed robbery
Right.
with Uzis.
Right.
And my dad sees the robbers run out into the car, and he convinces my uncle to jump in the car and chase them.
Yeah, I walked in the bank. The girls behind the counter crying, yes. And I said, what happens? They said, this car, they pointed out to the window, we just got robbed. And I ran out of the bank like an idiot, got in the car and started chasing. And all of a sudden, like 15 police cars with sirens.
87.
And this guy was armed, you know, I could be killed.
Dad, what year was that?
Huh?
What year was that?
That was 1980. I want to say 1984, 1985, something like that.
So if you're successful in your chase, I don't exist. I was born in 87. Good thing you didn't catch him.
Right.
VeeFriends, I think about the world like this. Strangers become acquaintances. Acquaintances become friends. Friends become family. I have a very strong feeling that many of the faces that I can see right now in the crowd, that I flat out already know and know a lot about you, are destined to become family with each other and with this community and with myself. And so I thought it was incredibly important to start VeeCon 2023 with family. I thank you for sitting through our stories. I encourage you to please interact with each other. Last year you did a great job with that. My concern this year is it's year 2 of summer camp and you've got your friends and you want to milk it with them, which means you're not going to say hello to someone else. Many of you yesterday in your one-on-ones told me you continue to be scared to say hello to someone. Many of you have to figure out this game. The way you get better at things is practice. The way you get better at putting yourself out there and not being as introverted is by saying hello to a stranger. These are not strangers that sit amongst you today. They are friends. There is no safer place on earth than for you to practice pushing yourself to say hello than this next 2 days in this stadium. Please, as you're in activations, as you're in the selfie line, as you're walking to the bathroom, please push yourself to say hello to as many people as possible. The stories and the connections that happened from last year's VeeCon are extraordinary. The activations behind me, the activations in the hall are incredible. Gary's garage sale is insane. Please find it, NFT land, and obviously the content. I wanted to start family vibes off, and I wanted for Jesse to follow with high energy. I just want you to please be friends with each other. That is the biggest ROI of this project. I thank Sasha, my dad, AJ, my brother, and I thank all of you most for being here at VeeCon. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.